All right, welcome to today's office hours. My name is Mark Stepp. We're going to be talking about how to survive the real estate shift. Today is September 7th, 2022, and just going to have a little bit of fun. For those that don't know me, my name, again, is Mark Stepp. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer here at Realvolve. Been doing real estate technology for over 31 years and just loving the ability to help make a difference for you guys, the agents. I am part of the engineering and product development departments within Realvolve, and just a lot of background in real estate. I'm not an actual real estate agent. Please don't hold that against me, but I work with you guys day in and day out for many years. On the other line with me is Michael Fernahu. He is the Vice President of Customer Success and a great person to know. If you guys haven't met or gotten to know Michael, please do. He's been in the real estate technology area for about 8 years and just helps a lot with our tools and stuff that we do to help automate you guys. And he has the expertise in kind of how things work and works with our customer success department, and just is an outstanding person. Does a lot of stuff outside of Realvolve as well with family, friends, and community. And if you guys would please welcome Michael at some point through this. He will be handling our chats today and doing some of the questions and stuff as well, or answering some of the questions as well. So kind of what I wanted to do this round is just a little bit different. I want to kind of remind you of some of the things we've already talked about. And whenever we talk about the shift, it's things that if you're incorporating things that we've talked about, you'll be able to navigate through it. The essential systems, lead generation, conversions, operations, nurturing stuff. These are all things that play an important role in using Realvolve, but also the things that you need to have in place so that when shifts happen, like they're getting ready to happen, if they haven't already for you, that you have the systems in place to navigate through it successfully. And I also want to share with you kind of a different concept for incorporating your systems and helping to motivate your team using challenges. And with those challenges, like I said, the motivation of your team, the promoting of self-growth, accountability. There's just a lot of things that can be beneficial by using challenges, and kind of want to go through that process. So whenever we're talking about the shift, what are we talking about? What is the shift? And it happens every so many years. Technically, we had a shift in 2020, but not quite the same. It was just, different. It was different. Everybody knows it was different. But the shift is happening. It's more of the traditional shift where, home prices, they're kind of remaining high. There's less competition of buyers. Consequently, which is a good thing, there's less craziness. And in some ways, it's actually becoming a little bit more normal away from the 2020 incidences that we've had. There's slower demand as far as demands on the buyers and stuff. And it really kind of depends on where you're at in the country right now. I've been talking with real estate agents that have been going through this. They feel like they've been through it over on the West Coast more, and it's migrating more towards Central America and stuff. But the higher rates, the rising inflation, the falling of home sales, from what I can tell, this is like the fifth month in a row that nationwide we've really had falling sales. And it may not be in your area yet, but it may have already been in your area and you've been dealing with it. So the other big thing is just for first-time home buyers, there's just really less options. A lot of the lower priced homes and things that are available are just not there as much. And this is kind of what we're talking about the shift. These are just some of the things that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Now, how many of you can tell me you're running through this right now? If you, in the chat, if you would just put yes, you're experiencing, or no, not yet. Yes, Jason Brown. Yes, we are, Rachel. Yeah. And if you've been in real estate any time, like I said, I've been doing this for 31 years. It's part of the cycle. Everybody knows it. The challenge is, especially for the newer agents may not have gone through the shift. And especially if you've joined since 2020, life's just been different. Life's been kind of crazy. And we want to make sure that you're prepared for what's coming next. So, over the past several years, I've really talked about the kind of the essential system, my core strategies of things that are important whenever you're using Realvolve, the things that Realvolve can help you with. And we talk about core strategies, CORE. It's just an acronym for conversions, which really deals with your lead generation, your lead follow-up, and just the lead conversion itself. The operations, the O in core is for operations. It's your pre-listing, your listing and marketing workflows, your closing processes. Those are all part of operations, and you just go through them once you get that listing agreement or that contract for closing. The R for core, we talk about the retention. What are the things that you do to retain those customers that you've already got, those clients that you've already closed on, and the nurture that you need to do for continuing on down the road and hopefully getting repeat business, but also the post-closing follow-up, all the things that you do once you've closed. What are all the things that you do just to finish up the process? And then the experiences. Now, experiences is a little bit weird for some people. They don't quite get it, but it's really the experiences that you move your clients through. What are some of the things that you do, which could be part of the retention, but I really think of it more as a process that you're doing that gives them something to remember you by. The pop-bys, the client events, even team events within your own team. If you're part of a team, and some of the things that you're doing to help motivate and stimulate your team members to be better. And the core strategies is all something that if you're doing and you're doing right now, these are the things that's going to help you navigate through this shift. And what's important to understand is that you may not even realize there's a major shift if you're doing these core strategies. So many times it's a matter of making sure that the processes are in place just to get you through your day-to-days, but those processes are the same thing that gets you through the shifts. So whenever we're talking about all these different parts and pieces, it really comes down to a lot of the office hours that we've been doing for the past year and a half have been highlighting in some. So what I want to encourage you to do is, if you missed any of these, definitely go out to our YouTube channel. And there are certain videos that we've got out there, the replays from some of our office hours. And we talk about some of these important pieces that are part of the core strategies. The essential workflows. We just did this one a couple weeks ago. This one was great because it really highlights the main items of the core strategies: the conversions, the operations, the retention. Those three are really covered a lot. Those are part of the workflow essentials. You've also got your new agent onboarding. That's kind of part of the experiences for team events too, things that help you in your business. But those are this is a great training that if you are part of a team, some of the things that you could do to get processes in place and make sure that as the shift is happening, that you're setting in motion those standard habits that you need in your agents to be better agents. And the better the onboarding, the better the agent. The long-term buyer and seller leads. As leads come in, this is all part of the conversion part. How do you deal with those long-term buyers and sellers? One of the things that's important to realize is if you look at your business right now, your business typically is not a manifestation of what you did just, a week ago. It's a manifestation of what you did 30, 60, 90 days ago. And consequently, what you're doing today is what's going to drive your business 30, 60, and 90 days from today. So making sure that you've got your long-term buyers and sellers being handled is what's going to help you down the road. And you definitely need to make sure that you've got those systems in place to be able to handle them and not let them fall through the cracks. We've got the 4 important workflows to go from listing to close. That was back in June, mid of June. We did a whole bunch of workflow parts and pieces of what you need to have for that listing close. So those really are some major parts of that core strategy. And again, if you've already implemented, you don't really have to worry about it. We do have, going back, and whenever we implemented the webhook piece, I started showing some of the things that you can do with webhooks. Back in March, there was one of the things which is important is the surveys, doing the client surveys at the end of the process. Once you close that property, surveying and finding out how did you do. And this is just a great way of doing it. Do you have to use Delighted? No, there's other services and other things that you can do. You can set up a standard Google form and take those surveys if you want. But using webhooks to be able to do that was just a great way of processing that. And then annual reviews. We talked early in January about what you can do to stimulate business just through annual reviews. Your past clients annually going through the process of reviewing where they're at with their home purchase, what the value of their home is, what some of their options might be to take advantage of hopefully the value that's increased in that home, and what could they do to really move forward financially based off of that. And the annual reviews stimulates so much good return business, but also good business for you through more closings. So these are some of the YouTube items that I wanted to make sure that you guys see and that you spend some time looking at. If you've not seen them, definitely go see them. If you did see them, you might need to review them. So take a little bit of time. So navigating through the shift is something that we've been talking about for some time. We've just been doing it in parts and pieces. And if you can navigate through this, and sometimes it's not really, I know back in, 2008, whenever we had a huge drop in volume, it was like 20 or I don't remember what the actual number is, 20 or 30% of the available listings just went away. Nobody was able to get any kind of listing or anything. Consequently, we lost 20 or 30% of the agents too. So some of it is just a matter of basically outlasting those other people. If you have systems in place, you can actually stick around as being an agent just by having those systems in place and making sure that you do the things that you need to do to stay relevant in your business. So that's really what the shift is about. Now, I started thinking about an experience that I had back in April of 2021. I purchased a brand new Apple Watch. Now, we were able to do it through our health plan, so I got it a little bit cheaper. But ultimately, my goal was to use this Apple Watch, besides just telling what time it was, keeping track of my health and building a better me, getting healthy. That was the goal. And so I purchased this watch, and things didn't quite turn out like I wanted. In reality, if you look at the charts, the activity chart that I had, and I just kind of scroll back into October, November of 2021, and it was even worse than this starting. I didn't use it. I didn't wear it. It really wasn't being much good to me. There was days that you can see in October, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's probably 12 days there of just not even wearing it at all. I wasn't used to wearing a watch. I had my phone in my pocket for a time. It just wasn't anything that was really important. But I had good intentions, but in all reality, it just didn't work out. And some of what I see in Realvolve, users of Realvolve, is some of the same things. Sometimes, you get Realvolve because you want to track the health of your business. You want to be a better agent. You want to, create those automated processes so that you free up time. In reality, sometimes, and if you're guilty of this, don't raise your hand, but realize, you're not using it or you're not logging in regularly. It's not doing you much good. Now, that's not saying get rid of it. By no means do I mean that at all. But what I am saying is that you need to create good habits so that whenever the shift happens, whenever things like the shift happens, that you have systems in place to be able to navigate through them. So if I look now, I've created some new habits. And if this was August, September, you can see that pretty much the entire month I did some kind of something, and I don't know what happened on the 14th. I don't know. Something hiccuped. But, for the most part, it's definitely different than it was a year ago. It's definitely different because there was a shift towards good habits. And whenever we look at the types of good habits that you need, we need to be talking about some key elements of good habits to get through this shift. And we've already talked about a lot of them, but I really want to isolate just on 4 of them. There are certain types of key indicators that we need to work towards. And part of it is being just consistent, adding consistency to your business. One habit is just being consistent. Consistent in your lead generation, in your lead follow-up, and your lead conversion. That also may be, being more consistent with social media posts, the social media marketing that you need to do to generate those leads. But being consistent is a good habit to have. Knowing your leading and lagging indicators. This just blew my mind whenever I was first introduced to leading and lagging indicators. Dale Warner was talking about this, our chief operating officer at that time. It was such a mind shift, and it's kind of like, well, I guess I always knew it, but I really wasn't thinking about it. The leading indicators being your drivers. What are the numbers? If we were to look at your business and actually look at the numbers, knowing your numbers, you're always told, hey, you need to know your numbers. Dealing with conversions, and your leads and your potential clients, what are the conversations that you're having? What are the number of booked appointments that you're doing and the number of signed agreements that you're doing, whether it's a listing agreement or buyer's agreement? Those are leading indicators. They're the ones that if you can turn up something, you can dial in something and turn it up, it's going to lead to a result. And that result is your lagging indicators. If I can book more appointments, I can get more appointments held. If I can get more signed agreements, I can get more closings. So it's a matter of turning that knob, the driver, the leading indicators, realizing what those are, to get the result, the lagging indicator, to move in a direction that you're wanting to move. Dealing with your follow-up with your past clients, doing the surveys. These are some habits that you need to have in place so that your business is going to be stable. And so creating these habits are the important part. So benefits of the habits, it's motivating. I mean, if I know that I can turn up a dial, I can, get more business, I can, have personal growth, I can have more accountability, there's financial growth, there's better work-life balance. How many of you guys work too much? All agents I know work way too much. Why do you do that? Well, you want to serve your customer. Yeah, that's one way of thinking of it. A lot of times it's just you're pedaling as fast as you can underneath just to stay ahead. And what we want to do is help create with good habits the things that you need to survive this shift. And that's what's some of the important things. So the question becomes, what changed? If you looked at my habits from last year to this year, what changed? What made the difference? And ultimately, whenever I figured it out, it was really the way the application incorporated challenges. It incorporated some ideas of, hey, you can compete against others, or you can compete against yourself, and you can better yourself through challenges. And I started thinking to myself, well, what are some of the things that I could do, or we could do within Realvolve to accomplish that same type of thing? And spending some time talking about it, one of the people that I want to introduce you guys to is Cody Stepp. Now, for those that know me, my name is Mark Stepp. This is Cody Stepp, and yes, we are related. Cody is my son, but he's got some real skills that whenever we started talking about this, he said, I really think I can help on this idea. And he started working in some things that he had done. So Cody, are you on here? Let's see.
Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you for joining today. It is, of course, a pleasure to have you on here. I know you've been on here before listening to. Cody was with Realvolve for a couple years in tech support. So he spent a lot of time with you guys as agents, helping you through. So if you've been on support with Cody, I'm sure that he's helped you through some kind of challenge or process that you've needed help with. And he's got a good understanding of what real estate agents go through. And as we were talking about some other things that he was doing, it kind of got to a point where he took the charge on this idea of challenges. Cody, can you kind of give us some background, a little bit more background on what you're doing and kind of what you're doing with the industry, and help us to incorporate challenges within workflows?
Yeah, of course. Well, first off, thanks for having me. Everyone, thanks for showing up today. So just giving you guys a little context, I try really hard to keep a pulse on just the industry as a whole. And what I'm noticing is there's a lot of outcry from, agents as well as teams and team leaders to have better leadership. And a little throwback, when I was a very young child, I was a part of the Boy Scouts, and I got a really great education in leadership and management. And unfortunately, not so many people have that these days. So right now, as a team leader, what I'm seeing is a lot of team leaders they're spending so much time in their systems trying to look and locate and find all of the data, and they actually have less time to be that leader, be that managerial person for their team. And it's just not ideal. And so now they're focused so much on getting that data, they don't really have time to focus on helping their team and empowering them to grow and ensuring that their team is successful. I'm also a student of game psychology and habit stacking. And a couple years back, Mark, there was a documentary. I seem to think that you'd spoken to it at one point. It's called Social Dilemma. And I'll definitely say this is more of the darker side of this idea of habit forming and habit stacking. But on the lighter side, you've got more of the atomic habits, the stimulus, action, reward, where you're building positive habits into your life. So what we did was we took the tasks that you as the agents are doing each day, and then we just added point values to them. We set up some dashboards to showcase leaderboards and rankings across agents, and really helped with those leading and lagging indicators, just like you were talking about. So as an agent, I now have my daily actions that are going to stack towards those successes. Some more context. When I was in college, I was actually a collegiate athlete, and I found what kept me chasing after athletics each year was this drive for competition. So think about a lot of agents, these days, they probably have a very similar motivation. And so now we're building a culture as well as building these habits. And this culture is centered around friendly competition. So as team leaders, it's also going to give you those data points that your team and your agents have, but it's going to give you the ability to have them at your fingertips. So you have a little bit of an ability to have extra attention and time to spend coaching and empowering those agents when you see that they're starting to lead and lag behind. I like to say that you need to have 1% growth each day. And that's kind of my goal each day. At the end of the year, if you're successful, 365% growth seems crazy to me. But, let's say we fail 50% of the time, man, that's still over 180% better. So that's it's a pretty good standard to reach for. But all this, while we're looking to take that 1% growth, as team leaders, we're empowering our team to get into our CRM and take those daily actions, that 1% growth with these small tasks. Just like you were saying, it's going to start pushing you forward for that 30, that 60, and that 90-day growth that you're looking for. So that's kind of what we focused on.
Awesome. Well, you sent over some different graphs and charts talking about the listing challenge, the buyer challenge, social media challenge, and the customer feedback, which are exactly what I'm talking about as far as the habits that we need to deal with, as far as doing our listings better, doing our buying, the things that we need to do to get those listings and buying agreements, the social media things that we need to do, and our customer feedback. So do you mind, let's just kind of go through these, and if you can kind of explain what you're doing with this, maybe it'll help our listeners be able to understand how they can incorporate it into their business.
Yeah, of course. So I sent you over the current 4 challenges that we have available over here at Workflow Secrets. So this first one that you've got pulled up is our listing challenge. And a lot of teams, what we're seeing they're starting to encourage their agents to pick a side, either listing or buying side, and really stick to it and get really good at it. Similar to kind of the prevailing wisdom that we've heard, it's come out of your mouth, it's all across the industry, and it's that you need to pick a niche within real estate and really stick to it. And I really love this idea. So what this challenge does is it gives you the opportunity to, again, compete against your team members in that same area of discipline. And it's going to help you as a team leader see who is leading and who is lagging behind. It's going to do this by showing point totals as they're doing all of these daily actions. So now they're able to look at this through a dashboard, and you can start to narrow down by agent to see points and see who's contributing the most and who is, again, falling a little bit short, so we can work to help cultivate and nurture them.
Yeah, I see my name on there. It looks like I'm not doing so good.
Yeah. I went ahead and plugged you into all of these just for a little chuckle, so everyone can see how terribly behind you are.
Gee, thanks. So, how do you score these? I mean, what's the idea here?
Yeah, so with each of these challenges, the idea is that you're going to get points for doing those things, those 1% actions that are going to move you forward. So it's participating in scripts and role plays with either team members or your team leaders. It's making dials, whether they be unanswered or they're actually turning into conversations. And then you've also got points for set and held appointments that are going to move you towards getting that listing agreement signed. And that's kind of the ultimate goal. And I like to say, if we know our ultimate goal is that listing signed agreement, and that's maybe the top of the mountain, let's look at all of the different base camps we need so that we can get to there.
Yeah, this is reminding me this similar type of things to the software change that helped me with the watch too. What you know, how does this help the agent if they're just looking at it? What's
Yeah. So as agents, it's going to help in a lot of ways. One of the bigger ones is that it's going to help agents build confidence, whether it be practicing scripts and doing those role plays. So they're getting points for doing the things that are going to help strengthen and build their confidence, whether it be from phone calls or appointments or even in-person conversations. I think the more we move into a technology centric generation, the more we're going to see that these basic skills are starting to be a little more difficult. So we can either scoff at it or we can recognize it and we can help empower those agents to do better. So on top of that, it's going to help those team members be encouraged to make calls, and it's going to give them points for just making the call. Sometimes when you're in sales, the scariest thing is just picking up that phone, and you've got to do it. You've got to just, bite the bullet. So regardless of if it's a conversation or if it's just making a call, we're building in those rewards. We're giving them some stimulus and points for just doing the little things that are going to help push them more towards success. And then obviously there's points for conversations, point for set appointments, and ultimately we're looking to get those appointments held and get those listing agreements signed.
cool? I guess if you were in a team situation, maybe you have some ISAs or something, your ISAs would be doing the conversations and the dials. This would be a great piece for the ISAs. And then ultimately, maybe they team together with the agents and do this as a team process as well. That's interesting.
Of course. And the challenges are great because, like I said, personally for me, and I would like to think that for several of us in the industry, the competition is going to be what drives us. It's also building culture, which is another really hot button item for real estate these days. How can we build culture? And so having these point values, now we've got something where we can friendly, compete and have, a little competition between our office or our teams, right?
Love this. Next one, buyer challenge.
Yeah, so with the buyer's challenge, it's pretty well identical to the listing challenge. This dashboard gives you the tools to really focus in on the buyer side opposed to the listing side, so that those agents aren't feeling neglected or anything. And I'll note that I have these set up to do in 30-day increments because in about a month, they're designed in a way that you can see how that 30-day effort is going to contribute, again, to that 30, 60, 90-day sprint that results in either success or failure. And so you've got live data that's giving you metrics to see how all of those small little efforts are stacking up.
Okay, cool. So all the scoring is very similar to the listing challenge. It's just that it's for buyers.
That's correct. Yeah, it's pretty well the same. It's really stressing the importance of participating in, scripts and role plays, attempting calls and hopefully having conversations. And, you can start to refine the conversations later, but you just got to have them to start. Then we're setting and getting appointments actually held, all moving towards those agreements signed. In this case, it's buyers versus listing agreements that we're looking to get signed.
Yeah. Every year, and even prior to getting the watch, every year I would go into the new year thinking, oh, I need to lose weight. Typically within, the first 20 days, I've already eaten a huge piece of cake and, gotten off the wagon. And I think something like this helps keep you on the wagon. It helps keep you motivated and going through and building those habits. So I think that's cool. As far as your team leads, how can this help a team leader?
Yeah. So for my team leaders, it's, going to help you coach those agents and really hold them accountable. And I think at the end of the day, as team leaders, that's one of our most crucial pieces of the puzzle, is being able to hold them accountable so that we're holding them accountable to their goals, to our team goals. And, sometimes they just need that. So if you get a bunch of conversations, but there's no appointments being booked from that, then maybe it's an issue with how we're having those conversations. So, throwing back, we can participate in those scripts and those role plays so we can improve those skills. Let's say we're getting a bunch of appointments, but man, they're not holding. So now we need to work on that confirmation process. And, maybe there's just one thing from sending out a reminder or a quick text message, or even while you're in that conversation, just ensuring you reiterate that this appointment is being booked so that they understand that. All of these things, these team leaders probably have the experience doing, and they're probably pretty good at it. So when you see that a team member is, falling behind, we as team leaders can now lift them up and empower them by really focusing in on each individual action. If they've got a lot of held appointments, but man, they're just not getting those agreement side, then we may need to work on making our presentation better. All of these with the goal of, empowering your agents and refining their process so that they can grow in their careers and really reach for their own version of success.
Cool. Now, you're talking a lot about teams, and I know we have a lot of just individual agents. I guess really, as long as you know your numbers, whether you're an individual agent or a team agent, it's going to be beneficial. I guess if you're tracking your numbers like this and you're an individual agent, you're seeing the numbers, and especially if you're a brand new agent, at least you have something here that you could take to your broker or your trainer, or maybe if you've got a coach that can help you present to them what you're actually, hey, I'm actually making calls, but I'm just not getting appointments. And they can see the numbers and actually, help you. So maybe it's not a team situation, but still an individual. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right. And I actually sent a slide for you in the pack, and you may have been wondering what it was for. It's not technically a challenge, but maybe a little spoiler for you to kind of cover this exact thing. And I threw you on all of these dashboards just so you could see. And, selfishly, I wanted to kind of make you the lagging agent. That way, I could bolster myself, if you will. I'm competitive. What can I say? But that's exactly right. Like, we have the opportunity to take all of these key data points and bring it to our brokers or to a mentor. Maybe if, for some reason, we don't necessarily have a good connection with our broker, and say, hey, here's what I'm doing. Where am I falling behind? How can I be better? Because ultimately, in this moment, it's going to be the agents who are refining their process and really driving forward that ultimately are going to be the ones that find success, even if we are experiencing a waning moment in the market.
Cool. Yeah, actually, I saw that, and it's probably this motivates me as far as the things that are on here. But honestly, the last one that I put on here is probably my most favorite. And even though it's not a pretty chart necessarily, it gives me some information. I'll share my thoughts on that one. Okay, so the next one, social media posts. What's this?
Yeah, so welcome to the age of social media. You can either begrudgingly shake your fist at it and fail, or you can get behind it and you can decide today to really dive in and accept it for what it is. So what this challenge does is it gives you the opportunity to gain points for posting. And again, I'm trying to build that habit within our agents so that they're building those success habits that are reaching them that 1% forward. So now you as an agent or a team leader can see how those posts are affecting your overall success rate and how those efforts are contributing to it. Now, unfortunately, from my marketing side of things, I know that social media is hard, and the Instagram algorithm, for example, is only ever going to show your post to about 10% of your audience. So when it's all said and done, if you have fewer at-bats like you do on this challenge where I've got you pointed versus my ranking, man, you're just not going to get as much exposure. And so that's going to trickle down into less leads, and less leads are going to be less leads into our system, less conversations, less, it all kind of stacks together. So we really are empowering agents to start building out these systems that are going to encourage them to reach for success.
That's cool. Okay, so I'm terrible at posting, even on my Facebook. I do post occasionally. About the only thing I post is information about office hours and stuff like that. But do I have to post 4 a day? It looks like you're talking
Right.
about 4 posts a day.
Yeah. And I get 4 posts a day may terrify you, right?
Yeah.
And so I like to think that 4 posts a day is something it's a stretch goal, but it's attainable. So the quick answer is no, right? You don't have to post 4 a day, but we do have a workflow that helps remind you up to 4 times a day that you can do. And you can actually choose if you want to run all 4 within that workflow when you're starting it, or how many times you want to post. And the great thing about Realvolve is it's going to remind you with those activities at those specific times. So with this pre-built workflow that we have, we've got a 9 a.m., a noon, a 3 p.m., and a 6 p.m. cadence. But truthfully, you can choose whichever times you want to post, whether maybe your times are a little different when you're looking at some of your social media information based on your audience, that all of these things are going to help you understand. So you could post once, you could post 4 times. Again, it's at bats when we're all said and done. And if you want less, all you have to do, download the workflow. You can just uncheck some of those activities and you're ready to go. And it's custom tailorable.
Okay. So the score itself is just the number of points or number of posts you do get you the number of points, right?
Right. This challenge is probably the easiest for that regard. Each time you post on social media, you get a point. So the more times you post, the more points you get. And I guess you could say it's a maximum of 4 per day. But if you miss a post, you don't get a point. And it's pretty well black and white in that regard. I will note, though, we're not really telling you what a post is, right? So this one's kind of up to you. So let's say you just posted an incredible client feedback and your comment section is blowing up. Well, maybe a post for you is actually just going into your comment section and engaging with your audience to start driving those connections instead of just posting something else and completely ignoring your audience. So you really need to take an opportunity to understand what efforts are going to push you forward, be it on IG Reels, be it on Facebook, maybe you were tweeting, maybe we're using TikTok. We have our own path that's going to take us towards success, but we need to understand and define that so that we can start reaching for it.
I love this. Here, maybe a trick way. You're not actually doing the post in the workflow, right?
Right. We don't actually do the post for you. So you do have to manually complete that. And then you go back into your Realvolve system and you just check the activity within the workflow. And maybe you've got an ace up your sleeve, Mark. I truthfully wouldn't be surprised. Though I do seem to remember at some point in the past, there were a lot of privacy issues with some of the social media. So I'm not really holding my breath on that one. I feel like a little, autonomy of having to do it yourself is totally fine in that regard. It keeps you accountable. And, worst case, we're building in that habit of using Realvolve each day, which I'm here for as well.
Cool. Let's see. Client feedback challenge. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's describe this one.
Yeah, so this one's actually it's the last one I'm going to show you guys, and it's perhaps my favorite. What it does is it gives you as an agent the opportunity to see how your client experience is driving repeat and referral business. So as a team leader, you can quickly see who is leading or who's maybe falling behind in your team, very similar to all of the other challenges, but it helps you so that you can start making adjustments to their overall client experience to ensure that they're getting more 5-star reviews. because oftentimes those 5-star reviews are going to turn into referrals, more customer success stories. And I saw this really great NAR article recently talking about the percent of business that comes from repeat and referral business. And it's something like 67%. So we're really able to capitalize on it by understanding how our customer experience is pushing that forward. So within this dashboard itself, I actually have, again, our team leaderboard that's showcasing who, and on this one, Mark, I cut you some slack. You're actually winning on this one. So my team leader, he'll be contacting me later and he'll be working to refine, but I have not only points that I've earned for this challenge, but I have an average score for this specific agent. And I did send you just a little screenshot, so it's a little less easy to understand, but within the dashboard itself, it's all responsive. So let's say I want to click on your name specifically. Not only is it going to show me your skills and your stats, but it's going to show how all of those points are stacking up. Your average star count is going to be adjusted to just your specific stats. So as a team leader, now I can just click on an agent, understand that at a snapshot how their efforts are being measured. And then all I have to do, I reset, or I can click on another agent and we can keep moving forward. Again, the key here is data. I'm giving them this data quickly so that they're not spending all of this time searching through their system. Now we're able to actually work with and empower our team.
Cool. Very cool. And you're just, this one's just, you're getting points for the number of stars, looks like.
Yeah. And, after the agent closes, this is a perfect opportunity to reach out to that client. Like you were saying, they probably already have the infrastructure in place where they're asking for reviews. And, typically it's that 1 to 5 star system. So we pulled in a system that's already probably in place. And so now as an agent, if I'm getting back a lot of 4 and 5 star reviews, this is a great opportunity to respond back and say, hey, I really appreciate the review. I would love to know, what you thought overall of my experience and how I can be better. Well, now this converts into customer case studies that we can use on our social media challenge, right? To get more points where we're showcasing these customers that we're talking really highly of us. And then also, maybe this gives us an opportunity to say, hey, I'm so grateful for working with you. You were incredible. You seem to like what I was doing. Do you have anyone you can refer to me? And now we're really capitalizing on that 67%. And, in a market that we're moving into, sometimes we've got to take all of those opportunities that we can, and we can't let those slip by.
Absolutely. That's cool. Very cool. Okay. This one I love. I forget, a couple years ago, we had a workbook where you'd go in and you do your numbers and you would figure out your business plan for the following year, which was great. It was really coming down to identifying and backing into your numbers. If you want to get X number of closings, you need to do this, that, or other thing. And this is what I see in this anyway. It comes in and it shows me my number of conversations, 97, the booked appointments, all this just to come down to the number of closings. Now I can back in, just like we did with our workbook, be able to back in. Well, if I want to do, say, 10 closings, now I know I've got to do a certain number of conversations. I love this.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, just full story on this dashboard helps you understand how all of those efforts are adding into your conversions into close contracts, And so as an agent or a team leader, let's say we're looking at the individual agent. And like you said, maybe they want to get 10 listings. Well, they know to get 2 listings, it took 98 calls. So now we've got some quick and easy math to do. Well, to get to 10, that's just times 5. And so it's going to be about 500 calls. Now, is this a perfect system? No, but it's going to give you some key indicators that are going to help you. And so now as a team leader, you can really keep your thumb on that agent and help them get close to that 500, or maybe even just chip away at that 500. Or you're going to see really quickly that they might be falling behind because they're just not getting those those action steps in place. And so this is, I'm glad you liked it. I know you're a numbers guy, so I kind of had an idea that you might, but that's, going to give our team leaders a lot of power. But truthfully, you as an agent, I think you said this at the beginning, you have to know your numbers. And so this gives you one place, quick understanding of what your numbers are, so you can start to take that forward action. And I think that's going to be my action phrase for today is forward action, right?
Yeah, very good. So how do you put these challenges together? I put this together based off of what you'd said earlier. What do you have to do to make this work? I mean, you've got some fancy charts and stuff. Do they actually have to do this, or?
Yeah. So really what this comes down to, and this whole idea is actually spun off your webhooks feature, Mark. So within Realvolve, all you have to do is you attach that webhook URL to a workflow action within the activity, and then you just add a code so that those points are tied to something. So we have pre-built workflows within the workflow library on Realvolve's side, and you're able to download them. They're free. And all you have to do is add in your webhook URL. The codes are already there. So it's a pretty simple, process to get set up and get going.
Are you using Zapier for this? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, so my team actually is not currently. I do have some backend infrastructure on the workflow secret side. However, we did start with Zapier. It didn't quite scale properly for what we were looking to do. But for the team or the individual agent that is looking to do this would be an easy system to get set up through Zapier if that's the tool that you're looking to do. Because at the end of the day, we're parsing information, we're sending it to a spreadsheet, and Zapier's got some incredible tutorials on how to do that. And then from that, you're able to link it to these dashboards.
Cool. So that's cool. We are about out of time. If they want to get more information, I put this down, Cody at workflowsecrets.info or just workflowsecrets.info. Guys can go there and find out more about what Cody's doing. I as far as this part right here, probably what I might do is on another office hours is actually kind of show how to do this. Just sending this to a spreadsheet and doing it. It won't be nearly as pretty, but all this information and stuff is being gathered. We can certainly pull that information and make it available. But if you guys are interested in knowing more, definitely reach out to Cody. And
Mark, I'll say this, and I'm pretty long-winded, so apologies, everyone. But I want to empower you to, if you do nothing else, take these concepts and apply them to your team. Because like I said, the team model is really being emphasized. Culture is really being emphasized. So maybe it's coming up with a challenge as your team. Maybe we throw it on a whiteboard and we keep score manually, or, maybe we're actually looking up for that speed and ease of getting our data and understanding it quickly. And that's where this automated process goes. So, there are lots of paths forward, and you don't feel like you're stuck to just one hole. Now, I will say, if you want to work with Workflow Secrets, we'd love to have you, visit that website, reach out to me. We can talk further. But, we're going to give you data at your fingertips, and, that's what we're trying to do. But these challenges, it's a great way to empower your team and really build that out.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. To me, whenever you showed these to me, I was just like, cool. And I know you were doing something similar with your cheer team, but this just takes it to the next level as far as I'm concerned. Very cool. We are out of time. Are there any questions? Anybody got questions that we didn't cover? Certainly stick around, but we're over time. Give a couple of seconds here to see if anybody has any questions. You can unmute yourself or type it in the chat. Otherwise, again, if you if you've not been to our YouTube channel, there's lots of stuff in there as far as past trainings and stuff. Go to the youtube.com/c/Realvolve training and subscribe and like. We appreciate that. And what else I got on here? Just thank you and see you next week. I'm working on a couple other ideas of things that we can talk about, but if you have something that you want to cover, definitely reach out to me either in the Facebook group or an email, and be happy to discuss other topics for office hours. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Cody. If there's anything that you guys need from me, let me know, and we'll talk to you. How often do you do these sessions? Every Wednesday, Ronald. Thanks for attending. All right, guys, have a good one. We'll talk to you later. Thanks again, Cody.
Yeah, thanks for your time, guys.
Thanks, Michael. Talk to you later.